pleased that Louise Powell's here from the Heart Service in Warwickshire, which is a service that works across five districts, isn't it, Louise, plus the county?
Yes,
all working together to deliver both DFGs and a range of other services as well. So I'll launch your presentation, Louise, and ask me to put the slides forward, and I'll hand over to you.
Okay, lovely. Hi, everybody. As Paul said, my name is Louise Powell. I'm an occupational therapist by profession, and I'm also the manager of the heart team in Warwickshire. So we host the Heart Partnership, and we provide a service on behalf of all of the councils that you can see at the bottom. So Stratford, Rugby, obviously ourselves, the Neaton and Bedworth, Warwick District, North Warwickshire, and Warwickshire County Council. So we provide a service for the whole of Warwickshire, and Heart has been in existence in its current partnership arrangement since 2017. Okay, so who are we? So as I've just mentioned, we are a partnership service, and we provide advice and deliver housing adaptations and many other solutions. And listening to Becky just a few moments ago, there's quite a lot of similarities. So the grants might be called different things, but the solutions and the outcomes are possibly the same. So within our service, we provide we assess, and depending on what the problem is, provide solutions of minor and major adaptations. And we look at housing conditions and housing repairs. We provide benefits advice and grants or loans for essential building works, housing suitability advice. So that's with our private owner occupiers, but also with those living in local authority housing that might be changing to a different property because of their changing needs. So our team is a large team, as it would be because we cover the whole of Warwickshire, which includes occupational therapists, housing assessment officers, and we also have an in-house home improvement team to provide support, sort of technical support for us. And just to quickly give you an idea of the scale of works that we deliver, we have on average 3,500 referrals a year, although we do expect that to rise, or that figure to rise this year, because we currently updated our systems, and we think it will more accurately capture the data. And we last financial year completed nearly 700 OT assessments, 2,500 housing assessment officers, and made referrals for 287 council adaptations. And our team in total is just under 40 staff, including myself. So that just gives you an idea of who we are. So our financial assistance policy includes mandatory and non-mandatory assistance. It was created in 2017 when Heart was created. And our policy is due to be updated this year. That is in progress currently. So I can't share any specific details of that due to the sensitivity around that, because it's not fully approved yet by all our council partners. But this is to reflect the rise in the cost of adaptations. As we all know, 30,000 doesn't go as far as it did a few years ago, and also to give us greater flexibility to help more of our residents, and to use our discretionary powers to offer a different range of grants, but also increase value in our grants. So that will be on our website later this year, hopefully. So I'm just going to run through, I'm just conscious of time, and I've probably got about 10 minutes or so, I think, Paul, but so I'm just going to focus on the on how we use our discretionary powers. So, oops, excuse me. That's something pop up. Okay, so we have what we call our DDFA, a discretionary disabled facilities assistance. And what that is an extra £10,000 that may be available as a top up to the mandatory DFG, the 30,000, to owner occupiers with sufficient equity in their property. So the extra 10,000 is for works costing between 30 and 40, and this will be registered as a local land charge on the property. For those between 40 and 50, we do have a further £10,000 loan, which is available as a 0% repayable loan. And also the next part relates to something both Paul and Becky mentioned about having a process for those that do not fit neatly into the policy. So we have a special case appeal for where works costing over 50,000 to potentially provide more funding at our discretion. So that's written into our policy. We do have guidance, but the guidance is written to allow us to be flexible. And I have to say, I think the majority of those cases that go over 50,000 are the children's cases where we're doing a large scale adaptation. So, as we've, I'm sure, all of us who are here today know that you can use 50,000 very quickly. So yes, so that's the DDFA. So the Home Safety Grant is quite similar to a grant that Becky was explaining that their service do. So it's essentially a free home safety check to a qualifying resident. And we can use it in conjunction with another grant, such as the mandatory DFG, or we can use it as a standalone grant on its own. So we have the flexibility to use the grants simultaneously or on their own. There is the qualifying criteria there, and defines who actually qualifies for the Home Safety Grant. And this grant is all about preventative works and preventing an accident that may lead the person to being reliant on statutory services such as social care or being admitted to hospital and so on. And a Home Safety Grant is fantastic because it allows our team to be creative and very flexible in how they use it. And as long as it meets our guidance of as being preventative work, which would mean that there isn't the reliance on other services, or we can use it to resolve a safety issue, then the team can use their professional skills and knowledge and be creative in what kind of things they provide. At the moment, the grant is £500 within a 3-year period, and that is per household, not per person. And I've just put the last point, just a few examples, but to be honest, we don't have a definitive list because we want to be able to use this grant as freely and flexibly as we can. So it really is a really good opportunity to provide services that perhaps fall outside of the mandatory DFG. Another one of our discretionary grants is a hospital discharge grant. So this is up to £10,000 and it's non-means tested. And this is around housing defects or adaptations that are preventing discharge from hospital. So that's the main point. But alongside that, we also look at the grant can cover works that would reduce the risk of readmission. So for example, if we have somebody living with COPD or emphysema and they keep having hospital admissions because of bronchitis, etc., because they have no heating or they've got damp and mold in their house, we may be able to consider a hospital discharge grant for that. The other aspect to it is about providing safe and dignified home-based care. So that is around, for example, if somebody had a care package that was keeping them safe at home and keeping them living well at home, but actually because of an environmental issue, such as, again, perhaps lack of heating, which the care agency have flagged as a health and safety issue, or rotten floorboards, which means they can't use the hoist because of the weight of the hoist, then that also may be considered for a hospital discharge grant. So as I've mentioned already, they're not subject to a means test. And the main aim of it is to facilitate a rapid discharge and the release of a hospital bed or care bed resource. So on the hospital discharge grant, we do work very closely with our health and social care colleagues and a range of people. And, it's a multi-professional decision. And we do have quite a few heads working on these ones to, to work out the best solution and to work out if it is the right grant for that person. So again, an amazing grant to be able to work with our NHS colleagues to facilitate somebody coming home from hospital, and particularly where it may be, the house is damp, cold, has major issues, and that's preventing the discharge home. So for us, that's again another great opportunity to work with our colleagues in other statutory services. So our Warm and Safer Home grants, our WASH grant as we call it. So this addresses category 1 HHSRS hazards, along with thermal comfort relating to poverty and health risks. So that is the main point of the WASH grant, is to address those. In the last financial year, we delivered 50 WASH grants, and by delivering those 50 WASH grants, we removed 58 category 1 hazards. So this one is available for owner occupiers, and again, it's a grant of up to £10,000 for works as agreed by the HEART team. So the full cost can be awarded if the member of the household has a qualifying means test benefit. But if they aren't, we do have another kind of caveat. So where the applicant has a qualifying health risk, which again, that is within our policy, which could be alleviated or improved by works to the home, we can look at a WASH grant, but we'll complete a DFG means test. So we're not ruling people out who are not on the qualifying means tested benefit. We do have an alternative route. A couple of stipulations is the person has to live in the property for 3 years before we award a WASH grant, and there's no repeat applications or further award within the 3 years following the completion of the works. And all of the grants I've mentioned so far, can all be used together. We do have cases where we've got a home safety and a WASH grant and a DFG all running at the same time. And again, we use our discretion to do the most we can for our customers, to find a way to do something, not look for a way not to do it. So that's the WASH grant. So just to kind of round off, I just wanted to say about how we at HEART use the FAP to deliver the service and use our discretion to the best of our ability right now. So the FAP does allow us to be flexible and creative in delivering the service. Most importantly, the customer benefits from our policy because they can have a range of solutions. We generally, often, can usually always find a way of helping somebody. Sometimes it takes a little bit of putting our heads together and working it out, but we generally get there in the end. We can carry out a huge amount of preventative work to reduce reliance on other services. We have a multi-professional approach within the team. And, we have a lot of skills within the team. So rather than having lots of professionals involved to manage 3 or 4 issues, often we can manage them all in-house. We empower our team to use the FAP to find a way to do something and not look for a way not to do it. So we are the type of team that that trawls through the FAP to actually find somewhere where we can help somebody with a particular grant. So my top tips, if you were looking to use your discretionary powers to develop your financial assistance policy. Sorry, FAP, financial assistance policy. I've just seen a question pop up. That's me abbreviating, apologies. My top tips is to be creative, step out your comfort zone, and be brave, because the difference you can make by stepping away from just the mandatory DFG is amazing. It has amazing results for our customers, and also, for the team that are delivering these solutions. It's much better when you can help people rather than having to say, no, we can't do that. So yes, just be creative and look at different ways of helping people using your discretionary powers. And that's it, Paul.
Great, thank you, Louise.
Thank you.
So there's just a couple of heart-specific questions. So with your hospital discharge grants, how rapidly do you usually complete those? And did you have any data on bed days you've saved?
So it depends on the situation. We can just probably what's one of our quickest solutions, which is not specifically a hospital discharge grant, but if it's a key safe to enable hospital discharge, we can get those done within 2 days. But if it's a more major adaptation, such as a ramp or a level access shower, we have had cases where we've had those done within 2 weeks, where it's something quite straightforward. So speed is of the essence on the hospital discharge grants. So we can usually provide a solution within a couple of weeks. Sometimes it's longer if there's more things to do. On the bed days, I haven't got any data to hand, but I will see if I can get any.
Right. And there's just one other one in terms of jobs that cost over 50,000. Did you have kind of a range of funding from social care and other sources as well for those?
Charity funding. And sometimes social care grants if it's a children's case.
Great, thank you, Louise. Mark, having heard those 2 cases, is there any kind of thoughts or comments from you in terms of what you've heard?
Yeah, I mean, just basically to say huge thank you to Becky and Louise. Just 2 really informative presentations, and what struck me about them is just the kind of the flexibility and the focus on finding the solution that fits the person. Just really impressive. And the way that both colleagues spoke about really seeing these services in the round alongside the sort of, shall I say, traditional DFG. I mean, that struck me.